Welcome to Elaine A. Powers' Reptile Side Chat. Today we're going to talk about just what do tortoises really eat. In my book, Don't Call Me Turtle, I mention that one of the differences between turtles and tortoises is that turtles tend to eat more meat, and tortoises are herbivores, and they actually prefer grasses. So this is a picture of the turtles dining on meat while the tortoises are having their vegetarian fare. But just as soon as you say things like that, the exceptions become apparent. So today I just want to go over my experience with discovering what my tortoises will eat. You see, I have several species of tortoises in my house. One is the sonoran desert tortoise. Two is the now invasive but very popular in the pet trade sulcata tortoise. And then I have the red-footed tortoises. And so I just want to chat with you a bit about their food preferences. So tortoises are part of the Chelonia family. Chelonia actually is Greek for tortoise, but sadly, the general name for all turtles, tortoises, terrapins is turtles. So all tortoises are turtles, but not all turtles are tortoises, and that's just wrong. There are many differences between turtles and tortoises will always be tortoises to me. So in general, tortoises eat grass, weeds, shrubs, plants, cacti, that sort of thing, as they're out about just wandering, eating the plants they find. And they get most of their water from the plants they eat. So I have a little friend here. I think she's a she's still rather young, is a sonoran desert tortoise. And because she's so small, I offer her a variety of foods to find out if there's anything in particular she likes. She does like grass. Grass is always very popular among the sonoran desert tortoise family. And I have a little tiny patch in my backyard of grass that they can graze upon. In addition, I give her lots of leafy things like collard greens, turnip tops, dandelion greens, mustard greens, and she eats them eagerly. I also offer her things like flowers. She enjoys her flowers as well. Less so the other vegetables, zucchini and other squash, which are very popular amongst the iguanas. Not a big fan of that. And surprisingly, not a fan of fruit. Now, many of the desert tortoises will eat fruit, although it's not necessarily the best thing for them. But this little girl, she sticks to her greens. She is not interested in either meat or fruit, so she will stick to her foliivore herbivore diet. Because some tortoises do scavenge on carrion if they find it. So I just like to check it out. But also in my household, I have the red-footed tortoises. Now, the red-footed tortoises are found in forests and the savannas of Central and South America. So it's a wetter environment than a lot of the tortoises are found. And they actually eat a lot of fruit in their diet. Okay, come out and say hello. And so along with the collard greens and the zucchini and things like that, these tortoises get a little more fruit, and they will actually eat. They do have a lot of carrion in their diet, so they have some meat in their diet as well. So they are considered omnivores. The previous tortoise was an herbivore. Red-footed tortoises are omnivores. And the one thing I do like to offer them is a nice variety of food so that, they can pick and choose. I have also offered them fungi. So some of the mushrooms, and they like them, but there are other food that they like better. All right. So, back to our desert tortoises. I do have, excuse me a moment while I shift tortoises. I do have another kind of desert tortoise, and this is the sulcata or African spur-thigh tortoise. And you can guess by the name that they're imported as pets. Now, these are the tortoises that get really, really big. They're the third largest in the world, behind the Aldabra and the Galapagos. And they also are big grass eaters. I have it in the backyard, and Cantata will come out and she'll graze, but she also eats the other desert plants. I don't have any aloe plants left. She's eaten them. She loves prickly pear, so she'll eat the pads. And I also break off the right now they're blooming, so I knock off the flowers for her. The spines don't matter. She'll eat it, spines and all. I do try to limit the amount of fruit she gets. The most abundant fruit she gets is the prickly pear cactus fruit, because I figure that's kind of a more natural fruit that she would run into in her environment. But I have an interesting story about discovering just what it is tortoises eat. So come out and say hello, Cantata. Okay. Now, one thing to remember about African spur-thigh tortoises is they get big. So here she is. And so she's out in the backyard, grazing on the plants and the cacti, grazing on the grass, when a hawk drops a partially eaten bird in my backyard. And I went to pick up the bird. I don't like dead things sitting around unnecessarily. When over comes Cantata, running as fast as her legs will carry her, and believe me, her legs can move pretty fast. She bit that dead bird and swallowed it before I even had time to react. I went to try to grab the tail feathers of the bird, but nope, she had consumed it down before I even had a chance. So this points out to me that even though in our observations we may not have seen them eating carrion, apparently when they see an opportunity to snatch up some protein, these tortoises will do so. There's not a whole lot of protein in grass, and they do need protein for making their eggs and growing big bodies. And so there may be a little more scavenging going on than we suspect. So remember, most tortoises are in fact herbivores, grazing the ground. Those that live in the forests might be more on the omnivore side. They may even catch small vertebrates. The red-footed tortoises will eat worms, they'll catch snails, they might catch small, other insects and prey on the ground. And certainly they will scavenge carrion. But then, there's gradations, because the sonoran desert tortoise, not really interested in fruit like the sulcata could be, and often is. And so when we say generalities, like tortoises prefer the grass in which they also hide, that there's more to their diet than we realize. So thank you for joining me today as I introduced you to some of my tortoises, and we discussed their eating preferences. So if you have a tortoise, make sure they get a lot of variety like they would in nature. And may all your tortoises be well fed. And until next time, thank you for joining me. Sign up for my newsletter at ElaineAPowers.com and check out those tortoise-themed workbook and activity sheets on lyricpower.net. Thank you for tuning in. This is Elaine A. Powers. Goodbye until next week.
And while you're at it, leave a comment below. You could even share this video with a friend. Remember, every time you comment or share, it helps other people find this video And they can learn stuff too. Cool!